नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिधि नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे Yes, so we have completed the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which was named as Content of Gita Summarized. Now, today onwards, we'll be beginning with the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and it is known as Karma Yoga. So, in the second chapter, we see how Arjuna he gave various reasons, 5 reasons not to fight in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and to answer those questions, Krishna gave lot of knowledge, lot of things that he spoke to Arjuna in detail about Sankhya philosophy, about Sakam Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. So he spoke all of these things just to answer or clarify those doubts of Arjuna, which was leading him not to fight for the battlefield. Now, this third chapter, it starts again with the Arjuna's confusion. And this third chapter, as we know, is known as Karma Yoga. So, first of all, we'll try to understand what is Karma Yoga. So, anyone would like to share their points or views on Karma Yoga? What is exactly Karma Yoga is? Is someone like to share?
It's karma yoga means Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Karma yoga means when we do karma to satisfy the Lord, Supreme Lord Krishna, and that is karma will be converted into yoga. That what we are doing the karma in daily life, that is also karma, but that is not karma yoga. That karma yoga means that satisfy to Lord Krishna. उनके लिए जो काम हम करते हैं उनको सेटिस्फाई सेवा के लिए डिवोशन दैट इज एक्चुअली कर्म योग.
Okay. Anyone else?
Karma yoga is what are you expected to do, Prabhuji? But don't get attached to it. Just don't expect any outcome or fruit from it. That's a karma yoga.
But
in my
fruit will
opinion.
come. Yes. But fruit is very natural. It will come. Any action if we perform that is very certain or very natural, that reaction will be there.
But that expectation should not be there from the karta. That is what. Of course, there will be a fruit. If you planted a plant and if it is a fruit tree, there will be fruits. But one should not expect the outcome of it. Whatever it comes, take it as a blessings from the Sri Krishna and then move on.
Okay. Yes. Any other guesses?
Prabhuji, in the Bhagavad Gita, we learn that there are three types of yogas: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So all three can be used to go to the Supreme Godhead, that is Lord Krishna. So, but the main target should be to reach the abode of Shri Krishna. So any one of these three can be used if we use them properly to satisfy the God, the Lord.
All right. So yes, so the Karma Yoga is, now we'll try to understand little more in detail. So as it is mentioned, Karma and Yoga, they are two different words. One is Karma, another is Yoga. So Karma means any action is known as Karma. And Karma Yoga means the action. Yoga first, another word is Yoga. Yoga means to link or to connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is known as Yoga. So now this Karma Yoga is basically the actions which are performed for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, or the actions which are prescribed or sanctioned by the Supreme Lord, or actions that we perform which are not going to bind us further in this material world. Means the actions which are not going to create reaction or repercussions or implications further in this material world, that is known as Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga, again we'll try to understand, is the actions which are sanctioned by the Supreme Lord, the actions which are meant for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, or the actions which will not bind us into this material world, which does not create any reaction. Such actions are known as Karma Yoga, or more precisely we say is Nishkam Karma Yoga. There are two types of karma. One is Sakama Karma, another is Nishkama Karma. Sakama Karma are those karmas in which we get certain fruit and we get bound up in this material world. We get bound up with this material world. That is known as Sakama Karma Yoga. Whereas Nishkama Karma Yoga is completely for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, or the actions which are sanctioned by the Supreme Lord. And again, the actions which are not going to bind us in this material world, means does not produce further reaction. Alright, so that is Karma Yoga. Now in this chapter, there are 4 sections. So first section is basically in which Arjuna is clarifying or presenting his confusion, because in the second chapter, lot of things Krishna has spoke which made him confused. Arjuna got confused. So Arjuna is trying to clarify those thoughts or those things in the third chapter. Second section comes is a renunciation, about renunciation. How Arjuna is asking about renunciation and Krishna is explaining all these things. Then third section is about Nishkama Karma Yoga, and fourth is about how one can get free from kama, or one can get free from lust, which is to enjoy the senses or to enjoy or gratify one's own self, is known as lust. How to overcome that thing, that is also Krishna is going to explain in the last section of this Bhagavad Gita, third chapter. Now we'll start with the third chapter. Sign in chanting the shloka. Arjuna Vacha
Arjuna Vacha
Jayasi Cheta Karmanaste
Jayasi Cheta Karmanaste
Mata Buddhi Janardana
Mata Buddhir Janardana
Tat Kim Karmani Ghore Mam
Tat Kim Karmani Ghore Mam
Niyojayasi Keshavaha.
Niyojayasi Keshava.
Yes, anyone would like to chant this shloka?
Arjuna Vacha Jayasi Cheta Karmanaste Mata Janardana Tat Kim Karmani Ghore Mang Jayasi Keshava.
Anyone else?
Jayasi Cheta Karmanasyate Mata Buddhir Janardana Tat Kim Karmani Ghore Mam Niyojayasi Keshava.
Wonderful. Yes, someone else? Anyone else would like to try?
वो इसमें जम गया है
We'll continue with the translation. Arjuna said, "O Janardana, O Keshava, why do you urge me to engage in this ghastly affairs, ghastly warfare, if you think that intelligence is better than effective work. So here, Arjuna, he is addressing Krishna with two names, two different names. First is Janardhana, another is Keshava. So he is asking, O Janardhana, O Keshava, why do you urge me to engage in the ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? So in the previous section, previous chapter, Krishna mentioned that better than working is to act with Buddhi Yoga or to act in Bhakti Yoga. So what does that mean? In general, people mistake that to act in Bhakti Yoga means to do nothing, to simply leave everything and go into the forest or to go some secluded place and just remain there. Whereas what Krishna intended to say, that we'll try to understand. We'll read the purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, Sri Krishna, has very elaborately described the constitution of the soul in the previous chapter, with a view to deliver his intimate friend Arjuna from the ocean of material grief, and the path of realization has been recommended, Buddhi Yoga or Krishna consciousness. Sometimes Krishna consciousness is misunderstood to be inertia, and one with such a misunderstanding often withdraws to a secluded place to become fully Krishna conscious by chanting the holy name of the Lord, Krishna. But without being trained in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, it is not advisable to chant the holy name of Krishna in a secluded place where one may acquire only cheap adoration from the innocent people. Arjuna also thought of Krishna consciousness or Buddhi Yoga or intelligence in spiritual advancement of knowledge as something like retirement from the active life, the practice of penance and austerity at a secluded place. In other words, he wanted to skillfully avoid the fighting by using Krishna consciousness as an excuse. But as a sincere student, he placed the matter before his master and questioned Krishna as to his best course of action. In the answer, Lord Krishna elaborately explained Karma Yoga or work in Krishna consciousness in the 3rd chapter. So here, as in general, people misunderstand that Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga is to renounce everything or to leave everything and go to some secluded place where they can remain, and it is just like doing nothing. Simply sit, sleep, eat, or some bhajan, kirtan, something like that. They think like that. Whereas Shastra says this material world is like even a lion who is the king of the forest has to work hard to satisfy his hunger. It is not like lion is simply sitting and some animal comes and walks into his mouth. No, that is not going to happen. He has to go, he has to hunt. If he doesn't run fast, he cannot hunt. He cannot hunt and satisfy his hunger. So lion also has to work very hard. And we see even Prabhupada and various acharyas and Goswamis, how they set an example working hard for Krishna. Prabhupada at the age of 70, he went to Western countries on order of his spiritual master to spread the message of Bhagavad Gita. to spread the message of Bhagavad Gita. In those 10 years, he traveled all across the world, and hardly 20 hours. He used to work 20 hours, and hardly 4 hours in a day he used to sleep, and sometimes even 2 hours. Like many times, some of his disciples, they shares that in the night he has landed 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the night, and morning he is there for the Mangala Aarti 4 o'clock. He is active, even though there is no effect of jet lag. He is not feeling the effect of jet lag. So like that, there are some Goswamis of the Vrindavan. They used to just sleep 2 to 3 hours maximum in a day. 18 hours they used to chant and write the books, spread the message of the Bhagavad Gita. They used to work very hard. They left all their luxury. One of them was, these are Goswamis, out of 6 Goswamis, 3 to 4 of them was from very big families, had very good background financially and all material way. They had a very good, strong background. But they left all that and started serving Krishna. Even working very hard than before. So, one thing here Prabhupada mentioned is, it is not advisable to chant the holy name of Krishna in a secluded place. So we will try to understand this point, why it is not recommended. Once there was a Muni by name Shaubari Muni. This Shaubari Muni, to control over his senses, he tried to go to some secluded place where nobody is there. So he went there, such secluded place in the forest, and tried to meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, perform his tapasya. But what happened? His meditation got disturbed because of his senses. Because of his senses, his meditation got disturbed. Next time, what he did? Let me go to the inside the water. Let me go inside the water. So he went inside the water, and there he started meditating. But as usual, he thought in the water there will be no disturbance, there will be no agitation of the senses. But what happened? He saw 2 fishes. They were mingling with each other. They were enjoying the presence of each other. So he got agitated, and he immediately left his meditation tapasya. He went to the king and asked the king, "O king, I want to marry your daughter. I want to marry your daughter." So what happens when we try to go to secluded place where we have not developed sufficient maturity, knowledge about Krishna consciousness? What happens? The senses will take us away from Krishna. The senses will take us away from the Krishna. Rather than we'll be able to meditate upon Krishna, these senses will agitate us and it will take away from Krishna. Now then, what is the solution? How one should meditate upon Krishna? How one should make a spiritual advancement then? If not a secluded place, one should seek the association of the pure devotees. And in their association, when one practices sadhana bhakti or regulative principles of Krishna consciousness, regulative principles of bhakti, what happens? He starts making his spiritual advancement. He can easily advance in the midst of the devotees. In the association of sadhus, in the sadhu sangha, he can easily make advancement. So now question comes, we cannot go to temple every day, or we cannot have a physical association with the sadhus every day. Then what is the hope? How we can make spiritual advancement? So Prabhupada says, best is to read his books, Prabhupada books. He says, I eternally resides in my books, so that you can take benefit. So when we read books, so what happens? We'll never feel low. We'll be always feel that we are making spiritual advancement, and will be actually making spiritual advancement by reading the books like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. When we read such books, will help us to make spiritual advancement. Now, here Prabhupada has mentioned that how Arjuna, he is skillfully trying to avoid the fight. He is skillfully trying to avoid the fight because he is thinking that Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, or acting on the intelligence, acting on the principle of Buddhi Yoga, is to renounce, to retire, to do nothing. So he is feeling that Krishna, you are asking that to renounce is something better, but here you are asking to fight also. So it is creating confusion. So Prabhupada says, as a sincere student, when he is confused, when he is in doubt, he places the doubt or his confusion in the front of his master. Same way Arjuna also did. Even though he was confused, he was in doubt, he was in dilemma, that Arjuna, the way you are, Krishna, the way you are speaking, has given me confusion. So he is seeking that clarification. So here we'll see one small video of Prabhupada. When Prabhupada, he was in Australia, Melbourne, one interviewer, she asked Prabhupada a very nice question. So that we'll try to hear.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Here it is.
Do you like to work?
Yeah. Is that?
He wants to know if we like to work.
We are working more than you. 24 hours in the old age. I am traveling all over the world.
But don't you get a lot of your money from begging?
No. First of all, you see, working, you cannot work more than us. Because I am an old man, 79 years old. And I am traveling always, all over the world, twice, thrice in a year. So you cannot work so much, at least.
So Prabhupada, when he was very old, at the age of 70 and beyond that, so he used to travel a lot. In those 10 years, he had traveled 14 times across the globe. He had wrote more than 70 books, translated those books, and one of them we know is Bhagavad Gita. And he has wrote a lot of letters, used to meet a lot of people. Even sometime his young disciples who were in their 20s or 30s, they get tired when they used to accompany Prabhupada. When they used to assist or they used to accompany Prabhupada, they used to get tired at how such an old man is able to maintain his energy, is able to work very hard for Krishna. So Devotees, they work very hard for Krishna 24/7. They work hard for Krishna 24/7. Throughout the day, they work very hard for Krishna. There is one more small video. Next question, another interviewer asks in the same.
Have you any idea how much money the sect makes every year?
We can spend all the money of the world. Unfortunately, you do not give us the money.
What else do you spend, Your Grace?
We are spending at least, at the present moment, $800,000 per month
On what, Your Grace?
on this propaganda all over the world. And we are selling our book not less than $40,000 per month.
Have you any idea how much money?
Yes. So much activities are there that Prabhupada is explaining, that our expenditures, that a reporter was asking how much money we spend every month. So Prabhupada was explaining we are spending more than $800,000 per month. So to work for Krishna is something which is never ending. You can always feel that enthusiasm, always feel nava rasa. Every time you will feel, just like when you work for some company, over a period of time it happens that you feel little bored. You feel little bored. But here when we work for Krishna, the more you work, the more energetic you will feel. That is the secret. That is the secret. Prabhupada share one more thing about this, how this Krishna consciousness, or people who are in Krishna consciousness, or those who are devotee, how they work very hard for Krishna. So that also Prabhupada shares. I'll just play.
Your Dharma. Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalang. You are doing your duty very nicely. Your dharma means an occupational duty. Suppose you are an engineer. You are doing duty very nicely. Or a medical man, or a businessman, or anyone. Everyone has to do something. You cannot sit down idly and you get your livelihood. Even if you are a lion, you have to work. Nahi suptasya singhasya pravishanti mukhe mriga. This is the material world is like that. Even if you are as powerful as a lion, you cannot sleep. If you think, I am lion, I am the king of the forest, let me sleep, and the animal will come and enter in my mouth. No, that is not possible. Even if you are animal, you have to catch up the animal, then you will be able to eat. Otherwise you will have to starve. Therefore Krishna says, Niyata kuru karmatyam karmadhyayo akarmana. You must do your duty. Sarira jatrapiti na prasiddhe tapnava. Don't think the rascal says the Krishna consciousness movement is teaching people to escape. That becomes no, that is not Krishna's instruction. We do not allow any lazy man. He must be engaged. That is Krishna consciousness. That is Krishna's order. Niyata kuru karma. Arjuna was refusing to fight. He was trying to be non-violent gentleman. Krishna did not allow him. No, you cannot do that. That is your weakness. Kutaste kasmalamidam visamesam. You are proving yourself rascal. It is anarjadishta. This kind of proposal is for the anarja, uncivilized man. Don't do that. That is Krishna. So don't think that Krishna consciousness movement, those who are Krishna conscious, they become lazy and imitate Haridas Thakur. That is not Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness means, as Krishna instructs, you must be very, very busy 24 hours. That is Krishna consciousness. Not to become a lazy fellow, eat and sleep. No. So, this is dharmasya glani. But you have to change your angle of vision. In the material conditioned life, your aim is how to satisfy your senses. And Krishna consciousness means you have to work in the same spirit, same vigor, but you have to satisfy Krishna. That is spiritual life. Not that to become lazy fellow. The difference is, as it is said by author Krishnadas, Atmendriya Triptimancha Taranam Kam. What is Kam? Kam means when one desires to satisfy his own senses. That is Kam. Krishnandriya Triptimancha Dhare Prem Nam. And what is Prem? Prem means when you engage to yourself for satisfying Krishna's senses. Why gopis are exalted? Because their only endeavor was to satisfy Krishna's senses. Therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended Brahma Kachi Upasana Brajabadhu Varga Bija Kalipika. They had no other business. Vrindavan means those who are in Vrindavan, if they actually want to live in Vrindavan, their business would be how to satisfy the senses of Krishna. That is Vrindavan. And not that I am living in Vrindavan and trying to satisfy my senses. That is not Vrindavan. That kind of living is, there are so many monkeys, dogs and hogs also, they are in Vrindavan. Do you mean to say that they are living in Vrindavan? No. So anyone who wants to satisfy senses in Vrindavan, their next life is dogs, hogs and monkeys. You must know it. So one should not try to sense gratify in Vrindavan. That's a great sin. Simply try to satisfy Krishna's sense.
So, one thing here is why we have to satisfy Krishna's senses, why we have to work hard for Krishna. That is something very important that we have to understand. So, first thing is, we are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Mamevamsha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So we are the eternal living entities and we are the part and parcel of that Lord. So we have to serve the Supreme Lord to satisfy Him. Just like, suppose there is a big supermarket is there. Thousands of the customers are doing shopping every day. And there is one person who is managing the counter, cash, billing part. So he is also working for that supermarket, and there is a owner also. At the end of the day, he has worked very hard. And if he thinks that entire, whatever today sale has happened, whatever money I have got, it belongs to me because I have worked very hard. This owner is simply sitting. This money should not be given to the owner, but this money should be come to me. If he thinks in that way, so what you will call him? He will be simply called as a thief. Whereas if he work very honestly, working hard or very honestly, at the end of the month, owner will reward him with a handsome salary, by which he can maintain himself. nicely. The same way, when we work for the pleasure of the Lord, for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, or when we do the work which is sanctioned by the Supreme Lord, we will never get entangled. Never get entangled into the cycle of birth and death, into the cycle of miseries. Otherwise, always there will be certain kind of anxiety in the life, certain kind of fear in the life, and it will become very difficult to have a peaceful life and forget about happiness. So when we work for Krishna, automatically peace, happiness, all these things manifests. All these things manifest. So we start with another shloka. Vyamishraneva vakyena buddhimha yashiva me tadekam vada nishchitya yena shreyoham apnuyam. Translation: my intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively what is most beneficial for me. So here Arjuna is clearly mentioning that by your equivocal instructions, means this is also good, that is also good, I am confused, I am bewildered, I am not able to understand what is good. Therefore he is requesting Krishna, what is Shreyas? Shreyas means what is ultimate beneficial for me. Please tell me. There are two things, two terminologies. First is Shreyas, another is Preyas. Shreyas means which brings ultimate good, which is ultimately good for us. That is known as Shreyas. And Preyas means initially we find it good, we enjoy that, but after a certain time we start suffering from that. It becomes a headache. Just like suppose you like rasgulla, you like sweets. You eat one sweet, 2 sweets, 3 sweets, it's okay. 4 sweets, 5 sweets, 6 sweets, 10 sweets. What will happen? You will end up into diabetes. You will have a problem. Initially you were enjoying, but later on it has become a problem. So here Arjuna is not asking about prayers. He is asking Shreyas, what is ultimate good for me? Please tell me. Because the way you have told has confused me. Just like many people in the name of spirituality or to give knowledge, they tell a lot of things. There's that so many things they will tell and simply confuse another person. They will confuse another person. Whereas here we see how Krishna is going to elaborately explain these answers. And one who comes or take that knowledge from that bona fide person in that parampara, he will get clear understanding. He will get clear understanding what to do, what not to do. What to do and what not to do. He will have very much clear understanding about that. So we'll read the purport. In the previous chapter, as a prelude to the Bhagavad Gita, many different paths were explained, such as Sankhya Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, control of the senses by intelligence, work without fruitive desire, and the position of the neophyte. This was all presented unsystematically. A more organized outline to the path would be necessary for action and understanding. Arjuna therefore wanted to clear up these apparently confusing matters so that any common man could accept them without misinterpretation. So here, for the common man, without any confusion, a common man can understand. Otherwise, it will lead to misinterpretation. That's why Arjuna is placing this doubt. Although Krishna had no intention of confusing Arjuna by any jugglery of words, Arjuna could not follow the process of Krishna consciousness, either by inertia or active service. In other words, by his question, he is clearing the path of Krishna consciousness for all students who seriously want to understand the mystery of Bhagavad Gita. So, how one can understand the mystery of Bhagavad Gita is simply by approaching a bona fide spiritual master. Just like Prabhupada, he has wrote this Bhagavad Gita. Before even he wrote Bhagavad Gita, he translated this Bhagavad Gita. There were hundreds of the versions of Bhagavad Gita were available into the market. But as we know, that after reading this Bhagavad Gita, lot of people, they took up the process of Krishna consciousness. They became devotee, just like Arjuna. Whereas the writers, other writers, they wrote Bhagavad Gita, it was not at all making any difference or effect on the people. They were not able to give up their bad habits. They were not able to take up the process of Krishna consciousness, Bhakti. They were not able to become devotee. So how does that happens? That happens when somebody comes in the parampara, in the disciplic succession, which starts from Krishna. Because in that parampara, the intention, what Krishna is passing, the message, that same intention gets passed on to the next, to the next, to the next, like that. It keeps on passing. So that same intention Prabhupada has given through this Bhagavad Gita. That's why people, when they read Bhagavad Gita, they understand the value of human life. They understand the process of devotional service. They understand how they can get free from all sorts of sufferings and miseries in their life. So that's why it is very important for oneself to get the knowledge from the authorized source. Prabhupada gives one example. Just like there is a milk is there, but if that milk has been touched by the snake, that very same milk will become the cause of one's death. Why? Because when a snake has touched that milk receives that poison, it gets mixed with that poison, and that same very milk becomes the cause of death. So same way, this knowledge, when it gets touched with the material intentions or with some material motives, this knowledge can also be very destructive or very harmful. That's why one should acquire this knowledge in the parampara from a bona fide spiritual master, right? And as Prabhupada was mentioning here also, in previous verse also, that how this Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, people, they misunderstand. Sometimes people, they misunderstand, like this Bhakti Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, once will get old. Now I don't have time. Once we'll get old, we'll take up this Bhakti Yoga, we'll do Bhakti Yoga nicely. But they don't know that in the old age, rather than doing the seva of the Lord, they need the seva. Rather than they serving the Lord, they cannot, because their body has become very weak. Their body is suffering from some disease, this something other disease. They don't have that energy, they don't have that stamina. So rather than they are doing service to the Lord, what happens? They need the service from the people in general. They need somebody to support them. They need the seva from other people. That's why this process of Bhakti Yoga, Prahlad Maharaj says, Komaram achate pragno. From the Komaram, at the age of 5 itself, one should take up this process of Bhakti Yoga or devotional service. So this Karma Yoga is basically, Krishna is going to further explain how this Karma Yoga, one can actually attain the perfection in his life when he acts for the pleasure of the Lord. One can easily attain perfection in his life. So if anyone has any questions or anything to share or ask, please feel free to ask, to share. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I have a question regarding the question that Arjuna asked. So and the explanation that you gave. So when we work in this material world, so we get attached to the work that we do. So and when we renounce it, and as Krishna has also explained it, that renouncing also is not correct. So isn't it a conflict? It arises because when we work, or there are some things that we need to do just to maintain ourselves, to maintain our earnings, and this creates the attachments also.
Yes. So as nice question it is, very important question for all of us to understand. First thing is, when Krishna asked Arjuna that you have to fight. So what Krishna told is, Ma manusmara yuddhacha. You remember me and fight. So when we do our work with such intention, remembering Krishna, that this fight is for Krishna's pleasure. Krishna has asked me to fight, and Krishna wants this fight, and by fighting Krishna will be pleased. Arjuna is ready to fight. Same way, when we are working, so we should develop that understanding that whatever work I am doing is for the pleasure of the Lord. And yes, of course, I have to maintain myself just like that person who was working with the supermart. So that person, I am working for my owner. Entire day, whatever I have earned is belongs to the owner. And when I work honestly, at the end of the month, he is going to give me my salary by which I can maintain myself. Same way, we have to understand that whatever work I am doing, just like Krishna says in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says, you work for me. But if you are not able to work for me, you work and offer the fruits of your work to me. When we offer the fruits of the work to Krishna, it is as good as working for Krishna. So that's why it is mentioned in the Shastras, whatever work we do, the result actually belongs to Krishna. The entire results belongs to Krishna. But we have to maintain our own self. We have to look after our family also. So then comes the concept of, okay, because you have to maintain yourself, entire fruit belongs to Krishna. But okay, you keep some fruit with you and rest all you give away for Krishna, for Krishna's service, for spreading the message of Krishna. So even acharyas, they had set up such examples. They used to give away whatever surplus they used to have. Maintain means basic, bare minimum maintenance. Not like, okay, I need Ferrari, I need some luxury car, then only I can maintain myself. No, basic, just to keep the body and soul together, just to bare minimum things to maintain. Rest all whatever is there, one should give away for Krishna's service. By that, one is actually acting 100% in Karma Yoga. By that, actually, one is acting on 100% in Karma Yoga. One will not get entangled. And Prabhupada says, he is not Karma Yogi, he is a sannyasi then. he is a sannyasi, because he is not working for himself, he is working completely for Krishna, because whatever he is getting, he is completely offering that fruits to Krishna, just maintaining himself and offering all the remaining fruits to Krishna. So, hope this answers your question, this helps.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes.
Any other question? So, to summarize, first thing to understand is we should always acquire knowledge from the bona fide source, bona fide spiritual master. And second thing is we have to act or work in such a way that we are no more bounded in this material world. In this material world creation, there is no more reaction. We always act for the pleasure of the Lord Krishna, and we act or work what He desires. And second thing is, just as you asked that question, in earlier days, like whenever people they used to work hard and get the money, they used to give away that money to the king. Whatever surplus money they have got, they used to give in the form of tax to the king. And those who have not got the money, those who could not grew that crop or cultivate that crop sufficiently, they have not got money sufficiently, so king used to excuse their tax. And when king used to get surplus tax, what he used to do? He used to keep that money for constructing various temples for the Lord, big temples for the Lord. And such temples you can see in the South India. In South India, a lot of such big temples are erected. And how those temples are erected? Because kings, when they used to get surplus money, apart from what is required, they used to give away that money for the construction of the temple, or they used to give that money for propagation or spreading that message of the Lord, because temple has the duty to spread the message of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, to spread the knowledge, to spread the culture across the society. That is the duty of the temple. Okay, yes, anyone has any question or anything to share? Yes. Any questions? Okay, so we'll end here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.